To you on the other side of the screen, hello, Shine here. Welcome to my channel if it's your first time, and welcome back if you've watched my previous videos. I've been thinking about what to share with you next, and I know that it's almost Father's Day. That's why I decided to make a video about fathers, or more specifically, my father. I missed my chance to make a video like this on Mother's Day, and I didn't want to miss this chance again. So I asked some help from you guys because when I started conceptualizing for this video, I ended up with this long list of things that I wanted to share, and I kept changing my bullet script. That's why I posted on my Instagram stories and Facebook asking you to send me any of your suggestions or questions so I could use it as a reference for the things that I'm going to share. Some of you responded. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your taking the time to send me your suggestions and questions. So moving on to the first suggestion, which I got a couple of times, was share some of your favorite moments and memories with your dad. From this suggestion alone, I could already share a lot with you. I love getting to watch K-dramas together with my family, especially when my dad enjoys the ones I suggested. When we went bowling at the mall, which wasn't planned at all, but we did anyways, and then having milk days afterwards. When me and my dad goes grocery shopping together, and then at the counter, my dad would try to guess the total amount of what he's going to pay, and then guess the exact amount or end up with something that's really close to the total. When dad buys me some of my favorite foods without me having to ask for them. When my dad brought me to the salon and he had to wait a long time until I got my hair done. How he keeps the letters I gave him in his wallet, which I believe is still there, by the way. How I always have stolen shots of me on his phone. Well, same goes for my brother's phone. When we go out on dates, and these opportunities are really fun for me. How dad organized my 18th birthday celebration, which I've shared in this video. And all our deep heart-to-heart talks. There's still a lot more, but let me end that there for now. And the next question is, what's so unique about your dad? Well, dad himself is unique, but if I must mention one thing, that would be his sense of humor. I don't really know how to explain this, but he's really good at making people laugh. And for those of you who knows him, you know this. Okay, so next, the things your dad taught you for you to mature further in your faith. Well, I don't think dad taught us per se, because he simply lived by example. I remember the first time I led a prayer for a meal when I was a kid. Dad didn't really tell me what to do or what to say, but because he always prays before we eat, the words that he utters in his prayers kind of got stuck in my mind. That's why when he asked me to lead the prayer for our meal, that time, the same words just came out, the same exact words. Same with having a personal devotion aside from our family devotion. I would sometimes wake up before dawn and see my dad in the corner of the room, praying and crying before the Lord. That's why, he simply lived by example. Next question is, what kind of dad is he to you? Well, he's a very sweet and loving, but a very strict dad. From the things I've mentioned in my previous videos and from earlier, you already know that my dad is a really loving father, but at the same time, he is also very strict. And the simplest example of that I could give you would be, I'm always being brought to and picked up from school. I'm not allowed to go on my own. As an elementary student, being fetched from the school is not really that big of a deal, but being a high schooler, that's a whole different story. But I didn't really mind this one because I viewed it as I'm the princess of our family, and princesses always have a chaperone or bodyguards with them. And that mindset really helped me not to care about what my classmates may think of me. And that's the simplest example that I could give you. But at the same time, my dad is also very supportive of me. He does everything in his power to help and support me in any way he can. Like how the whole family accompanies me for the meetups I had for my homeschool club back when the schedule of the meetups didn't clash with ours and we weren't so busy yet. So to the other kids out there or teenagers with strict parents, I know it's hard. There's peer pressure, and it's so difficult for the others who doesn't have strict parents to understand you. And that's fine. I still suggest that you obey your parents. Why? Because it says in Ephesians 6:1, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right." There were times when I broke my dad's rules and hanged out with my friends outside of school when we had shortened classes, which I confessed and asked forgiveness for later on. I felt like I would freeze sobbing before I could even try and explain things to my dad. That's why I wrote him this long letter that had 3 pages, thanking him for everything and confessing all the wrong things I've done and asking for forgiveness. Dads can be pretty scary and hard to talk to at times, and I'm not exempted on this one. Not until I gave my dad that letter. I gave him that letter which I wrote for him for Father's Day on the time that he was living, so that he would read the letter but he won't be at home. I think around 30 minutes after he left, he called up my brother and told him to give the phone over to me. And I was so sure that I was going to get scolded, but he didn't. Dad actually said, "I'm sorry," and asked me what we could do together to make things better. Because what I didn't mention yet was that in that letter, I wrote how there were times when I just wished that I could just disappear. Because as I've mentioned in my previous videos, I had struggled fighting the voices in my mind that say I'm worthless and a burden to my family, which wasn't true at all. When I had problems, I kept them to myself because I didn't want to add to the worries of my parents. I pretended to be okay and forced myself to always smile to hide the storm of negative emotions that was brewing inside of me, which then resulted in these moments when I viewed myself as a problem and a burden. After I gave that letter, I realized that it was actually okay for me to openly talk to him about all these things, and I felt better. Since then, my dad constantly reminded me of how precious I am, which was a big help in fighting out these voices in my head that questioned my true worth. And that was the start of our deep heart-to-heart talks. I got to talk to him about the things I wanted to do, my dreams, and sometimes even my crushes, which I know not a lot of girls my age can do with their dads, which is the reason why I am so grateful to have my dad as my father. A friend of mine told me about how she's so happy that I can now be more open about my thoughts and how I feel. One big factor for that, I believe, is how I can now freely talk to my dad about so many things. Something I learned from this experience of mine was that we just need to talk and be honest with our dads, even though it could be pretty scary. Because I believe that they really miss us. Remember how when we were little, we were very close with our dads. Well, at least for my case, I was very close with my dad. Mom would be busy at work and my brother would be busy at school. That's why when my dad goes traveling, he brings me along with him until I started my schooling. So during those times, I was really close to my dad. But then puberty comes and we now have our own worlds. We never really got the time to talk with our dads and spend time with our dads anymore. And that results in misunderstandings and bottled up feelings because we no longer get to talk with them about how we truly feel or even about our thoughts or the things that we want to do. That's why this Father's Day, I encourage you, please talk with your dad. If you feel like you're scared to talk to him honestly, face to face, then do what I did. Write him a letter. Write down all the things that you're thankful for and maybe include the things that made you upset about him or even the things that you've done wrong and ask for forgiveness. Just be completely honest because at the end of the day, he's still your dad. I don't care if you're still a kid, if you're a teenager, if you're in your 20s, or even if you're now married, or even if you don't have a good relationship with your dad. Our parents aren't perfect. They've made mistakes and they have a lot of shortcomings. But guess what? We do too. No matter what they may have done or how many shortcomings they may have, it doesn't give us any right to disrespect and dishonor them at all. Because it is stated in Ephesians 6 verses 2 to 3. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise, so that it may go well with you and that you may enjoy long life on the earth. Our parents aren't perfect, but they are definitely the best for us because God was the one who chose them for us. If your dad has a characteristic that you don't like, for example, he's a drunkard, don't disrespect him. Instead, continually pray for him. Continually lift him up to the Lord. And pray that God will continually work in his life and change him. And I know that in God's time, your prayers will be answered. And for the fathers who may be watching this, please learn to listen to your children. When they tell you about their dreams, don't just reject them right away and tell them that I know that is what you want to be, but I don't think that's gonna work for you. Instead, can you just pray together with your child, with your son, with your daughter, and just entrust these dreams of theirs to the Lord? Not only are you drawing closer to one another, but you are ushering them closer to the Lord. And also, please apologize when you've done something wrong, when you failed to keep a promise that you made with your children. Because I'm telling you, sorry would really go a long way. You expect your children to apologize when they've done something wrong? Then live by example and do the same thing. It can be scary for your children to openly talk to you. That's why I hope that you would make it so that it'll be easier for them. Spend that quality time with your families. Have your family devotions, and I hope that you'll have a closer bond with your family, with your children, especially during this quarantine. It's the perfect opportunity to usher them closer to the Lord or to hear about their stories, get to know them better. And for us children, let us not take for granted this time that we could spend with our dads. While they are still alive, let us do our best to let them feel how much we love them. Show them that we appreciate their hard work and that we're grateful for all their sacrifices. Let us not be one of those people who will hold onto their father's coffins tightly and sob very loudly because they have too many regrets, knowing how they have disrespected their dad, how they failed to tell their dads how much they love them, knowing they haven't done the things they should have as children, as a son, as a daughter to their father. When was the last time you hugged your dad or gave him a present, even if it's as simple as a handwritten letter? When was the last time you told him that you love him? Don't wait for the time that he's dead and could no longer hear your apologies and your I love you, dad. Don't say you'll just do it next time, because our lives is so full of uncertainties. We don't know until when we could be together with our fathers, or until when they could be together with us. So while we still have this life, and while our fathers are still alive, let us do our best to let them feel how much we love them, and let them know that we appreciate their hard work, that we're grateful for their sacrifices. That's why I hope that we'll make this Father's Day a memorable one for them. And the last suggestion I got was a line in a movie you'd like to tell your dad. I love you, Dad. I love you, Daddy. I know there's a lot of movies with this line, so I won't pick a specific one anymore. So this Father's Day, let's give our dads a tight hug and say them how much we love them. Actually, even if it's not Father's Day, I believe they deserve it. Even with all their mistakes, with all their shortcomings. Because like I said, at the end of the day, they're still our dads. So I hope that we will really do our best to make this Father's Day a memorable one for them. I hope that you were able to get some value from this video, and if you did, give it a like and share some of your favorite memories and moments with your dad as well in the comments. I would love to hear about them. I would love to read about them. And also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and click on the notification bell so you would be updated every time I post a new video. As always, thank you so much for watching. Take care always, and God bless. Bye!